Hello, I'm Alyson Grange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global South. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost. Hello and welcome to Firstpost Africa, where we get you the top stories from the continent and from across the world. I'm Alyson Grange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. First, let's take a look at the headlines. Israeli Minister Benny Gantz resigns from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's war cabinet that was established following the October 7th attack by Hamas. China's Premier Li Qiang to visit New Zealand this week, marking the first trip by a Chinese premier to the nation in 7 years. This after China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited the country earlier this year. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo slams French President Emmanuel Macron for calling snap elections later this month. The mayor says holding polls just weeks before the start of the Paris Olympics is extremely unsettling. Kenyan President William Ruto says nearly 1,000 Kenyan police officers will be deployed in Haiti in about 2 weeks to help quell rising gang violence in the country. And Egypt's inflation eases to 28.1% in May from 32.5% in April, showing a faster reduction than what analysts had expected. May sees a third straight month of recovery after inflation surprisingly shot up in February. Hello and welcome. We begin with the Democratic Republic of Congo. A terror attack has shaken the country that is already grappling with escalating violence. At least 80 people have died in a week-long attack in the eastern part of the African nation. Attacks that began last week on Tuesday escalated on Friday. Armed men used guns and machetes to attack residents of villages in Beni territory in the North Kivu province. The attacks were concentrated in the villages of Masala, Mapasana and Mahini. On Thursday, 5 bodies were found in the villages of Kabweli and Mamulese, and on Friday, 13 bodies were found in the village of Makobu. However, reports suggest that the worst-hit district was Mamove, where the assailants stole dozens of motorcycles and set fire to several houses during the incursion. The attack has also targeted several Christian villages in the regions surrounding Beni. Now, officials say last week's killings were carried out by the Allied Democratic Forces, or the ADF, which is an affiliate of the Islamic State. The ADF is now based in eastern Congo, but it was created across the border in eastern Uganda in the 1990s, and its alliance with the Islamic State is thought to have begun about 6 years ago. Now, the already displaced people in the Democratic Republic of Congo's eastern region have been thrown further into turmoil by the ADF, which mounts frequent attacks in the area. In 2021, the Ugandan and Congolese forces launched a joint military operation against the ADF. But since then, they have failed to stop the attacks. According to the Civil Society of Beni Territory, since the 3rd of May, about 123 civilians have been killed in various attacks attributed to the ADF in the surrounding areas. And now the continued violence has further destabilized the lives of people in the Central African nation, further exacerbating a security crisis in the region. The Democratic Republic of Congo already faces mounting pressure from a host of active militant groups. Of these, the M23, or the March 23 movement, is one of the most prominent. It is a primarily Tutsi-led rebel group which claims to be fighting for the interests of the Tutsi community. And since 2021, the M23 rebel group has amplified attacks in the region, leading to the displacement of millions. As per the United Nations estimates, nearly 7 million people were internally displaced by the end of 2023. In North Kivu alone, about 2.5 million people were displaced. And now fresh attacks from the Islamic State-backed ADF are feared to result in a widespread catastrophe in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And to better understand the topic, we have with us Dr. Olawale Ojewale, who is joining us live from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for being with us, Doctor.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, at least 80 people have been killed in this week-long attack. What are the latest details that you have for us?
Well, we need to start on the note that this is reminiscent of the attack that happened about a year ago on the border of Congo and Rwanda. And this speaks to the increasing influence and capacity of the ADF, which is now allied with Islamic State, to actually cause chaos in the country that is already experiencing multi-level crisis. So I think I will conclude to say by answering your question, I think this has created a new layer of complexity to the crises that the country has had to battle with in the recent time. And in the usual response of the government, I think it has also let the people down again by allowing these attacks to take place and then causing increasing humanitarian toll on the people who live in that northeastern part of the country.
Mm. Yeah. Now, Doctor, the Congolese officials have said that the ADF are responsible for the attack. They are an affiliate of Islamic State. What is the objective of the ADF, and does this mean that the IS has made inroads in the region?
Well, I think originally the objective of the ADF is about political violence, a rebel group. Like you see multiple of them in the Eastern DRC. It is popularly believed that the proliferation of armed groups in the Eastern DRC is comparable to none in any part of the world. It is just distinct to the extent to which people create franchise of armed groups as though they are creating new business startup on a regular basis. And the second thing is the fact that the affiliation of ADF to the Islamic State has further widened our objective. You know, the Islamic State is in the business of creating multiple franchise across the world. And the capability that ADF is demonstrating now shows that it's learning from a later organization that is considered to be probably the most ruthless terrorist group in the world, and then creating further complication in the DRC, which we can now largely say it goes beyond political objective or political violence in the first place, because it has morphed into other things, particularly with the affiliation to the Islamic State, which has a measure of organized crime in it, in which they are accessing resources that are abundantly present in the Eastern DRC in terms of timber and minerals and other sources, and including a form of security tax on the local people and businesses that are operating in the region. So I think the objective is wider now, and to be able to be seen, because we are also seeing a situation in which it appears the armed groups in the region as also competing for influence And as it is characteristics of the Islamic State,
Yes.
ADF, which has emerged as the franchise in that
Yeah.
region, is projecting itself to be on top of the table in terms of the organizations and terrorist groups that are able to create serious damages and violence that is going to reverberate across the world.
Right. And what have the international reactions been to this attack? And what is the Congolese government doing to prevent further attacks?
Well, I think the international reaction, based on what is going on in the world now, before this attack happened, we have been of the opinion that what happens in DRC, in Sudan, and other places in Africa do not receive the sufficient attention like what we've seen in the case of Russia invasion of Ukraine, for instance, or what is going on in the Middle East with Russia with Israel war with the Hamas. So I think what happened in the DRC and elsewhere on the continent has always been relegated to the backwater. And I wouldn't say maybe the response of the international community has been sufficient to this latest attack. But by and large, we've seen the cases of issuance of press releases by international organizations that are probably doing humanitarian work in the country. And the government, as usual, has also been embroiled with the with press releases and vowing to root out any form of aggression that is contrary to state monopoly of violence in the region. But in the real sense of it, apart from maybe talking about that, I think the state will continue to wage military option, which it has at its disposal, even though it appears that the country is overwhelmed now, when you look at the layers of violence that armed groups are causing in the region. So we might not be able to project that there's going to be any significant shift in the coming days, because it appears violence of this nature have been normalized by the state and then even by the people who work and live in that region.
Doctor, thank you very much for being with us on Firstpost Africa and for your analysis there.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our next story is from West Africa. A tense border dispute between Niger and Benin has escalated. A new row has erupted between the neighbours, who are trading accusations of hostility since May. Now, Benin has arrested 5 Nigerian nationals on accusations of entering the Port of Seme illegally. Authorities in the country claim that the detainees are agents of Niger's army junta, who allegedly used fake documents to enter the facility. However, Niger says that they were workers from its oil company who were at the port to witness the loading of an oil shipment. Now, instead, Niger has accused Benin of abducting staff of its oil company. Niamey says among those detained is the Deputy General Manager of the West African Pipeline Company of Niger and the local affiliate of China National Petroleum Corp. The incident comes days after Benin agreed to let Niger resume exports of crude through its port following an intervention from China. Now, Niger is a landlocked country in West Africa, and it shares its southern border with Benin. It runs a pipeline from its oil fields to the Port of Seme, where its crude is loaded into tankers for export. But in May, Benin blocked the shipment of oil, accusing Niamey of refusing to reopen its border to trade. Now, although the Port of Seme has become a new flashpoint, the conflict between the countries goes way beyond. Over the years, Benin and Niger have enjoyed good relations, but that quickly changed after Niger's military coup last year. Benin is a member of the West African bloc called ECOWAS. Last year, ECOWAS had threatened Niger's junta with a military operation and also levied sanctions against the country. So Niger closed its border with Benin. Eventually, Benin took a softer stance and opened the border with its neighbour, but junta-led Niger has refused to do so. Back then, Benin's President, Patrice Talon, demanded that landlocked Niger reopen its border if it wants to use Benin's ports. Benin President said that Niger was treating them like an enemy. But despite the threats, Niger has rejected Benin's demands. Last month, Niamey accused Benin of hosting French troops on its soil, which it said were training terrorists near the border region to destabilize Niger. And now the recent incident marks another turning point in bilateral relations. Amidst the rising tensions, a growing discontentment is also brewing among the people. The border dispute is affecting the movement of goods and services, leading to a rise in the prices of commodities. So the people of Benin and Niger are the ones left bearing the brunt of this dispute. In Zambia, 22 Chinese nationals have been sentenced to long prison terms for cybercrime. The Chinese nationals were allegedly behind several internet fraud and online scams that recently targeted not just Zambians, but also people from countries like Singapore, Peru, and the United Arab Emirates. The lengthy jail terms handed by the Zambian court range from 7 to 11 years. Among the convicts are Gu Tianzhou, the sole female member, who broke down tearfully as her 7-year sentence was announced, and Li Xianlin got the longest sentence of 11 years and is accused of being the mastermind behind the scams. The court also fined other members of the gang between $1,500 and $3,000. The sentencing comes after a trial lasting several weeks, during which the Chinese nationals pleaded guilty to 3 charges that include computer-related misrepresentation, identity fraud, and illegally operating a network or service. Along with them, a Cameroonian national has also been sentenced.
Just the beginning. In the past, we have seen criminals walking away freely after committing such or similar crimes. But this time, because we have the Cybersecurity and Cyber Crime Act or Bill, Cybercrime Act in the country. So this is where now I can confidently say that the law or the act now is operational, and it's a warning even to other would-be offenders.
These arrests were made last week on Friday and is among a bigger group of 77 suspects who were arrested in April in connection with what authorities called a sophisticated internet fraud syndicate. These 77 suspects included mostly Zambian nationals who were allegedly being recruited to be call center agents to carry out the fraudulent activities. They had reportedly been tasked with engaging in deceptive conversations with unsuspecting mobile users across various platforms, such as WhatsApp, Telegram, chat rooms, and others, using scripted dialogues. Now, these Zambian suspects were later released on bail so they could help the authorities with their investigations. Several people in the country inexplicably lost money from their mobile phones or bank accounts that prompted action from the authorities. During the extended probe, Zambian authorities raided a Chinese-run company in the capital Lusaka called Golden Top Support Services. Authorities confiscated numerous devices facilitating deceptive communication. More than 13,000 SIM cards, both local and foreign, were confiscated, which, as per the authorities, indicated the extent of the operation's reach. They also found 2 firearms and about 78 rounds of ammunition belonging to a Chinese national linked to the business. However, the Chinese company is yet to comment on the allegations.
Given to or the sentence, we can say they needed more stiffer sentence or more years, or what they have given them. We can say it is. And looking at the crime as it stands, we have not been told how much they have stolen. We have not been told as well those guns and ammunition they had, how they have been used.
Despite the crime by its nationals, China's influence in Zambia is significant. Beijing's direct investments in Zambia surpassed $178 million by the end of last year. From mining to agriculture and manufacturing, Chinese investments continue to surge, in the southern African nation. And finally, to our special segment, Resurgent Africa. Amid the coups and the crises, there are many positive stories from Africa that often get overlooked, but not on this show. Our story today is from Uganda's capital city of Kampala. In the heart of the city, a community brass band is doing more than just filling the air with melody. It is transforming lives, and this is no ordinary ensemble. Comprised of children from Kampala's most marginalized communities, this band is part of a groundbreaking initiative by Brass for Africa. Through the disciplined practice of music, these children are turning their lives around and redefining their destinies. Here's our report.
Every week, the sound of trumpets, cornets and tubas echoes through the streets of Zambia, a neighborhood in Kampala, Uganda's capital city. This scene unfolds when the community brass band holds its practice. With the band leader in the center giving directions, the band members play diligently, eyes fixed on their sheet music. This is no ordinary band. The members are children from Kampala's most marginalized communities. They're not just learning music, they are gaining vital life skills through these sessions. These special classes are run by an organization called Brass for Africa. The organization believes in the transformative power of music. Most of these children live on the streets or spend most of their time there. To involve them in something that can change their lives, the organization leaves no stone unturned.
They are falling prey to things like harassment, antisocial behavior, joining gangs and things like that. They're children living in rehabilitation centers, living in refugee settlements, children living with physical and mental disabilities, children and young people living in informal settlements where their basic needs and basic rights are not always met.
Music offers them a path to a better life. It serves as a hook that engages them in difficult times. They learn essential life skills like self-confidence, teamwork and leadership, skills that may help them thrive in a few years.
It's music and life skills. So we're learning skills like self-confidence, teamwork, communication, concentration, resilience, leadership, skills that any young person would need to have to survive and to thrive in life, but can be really, really hard to come by.
These brass band classes have given the community's children a glimmer of hope. The enthusiasm and dedication they bring to their classrooms speak volumes.
My friends become surprised seeing me playing an instrument like a trumpet. They become surprised. They don't expect me.
Each day I come, I learn something. Each day I come, I get something new from my friends. Each day I come, I get to know what should I play, what should I perfect, where am I going wrong.
Many even dream of pursuing this further as a career.
Actually, I want to become a musician specialized in playing emotional songs by playing the saxophone, the trumpet, the violin, and every instrument that expresses a feeling of the song, the heartbeat of the song.
Children who have joined the band say their lives have improved significantly. They hope this path leads to a better future.
So my life before joining the band was really hard. And if I continued living that kind of life, I don't know what kind of a girl I would have been today. Maybe I would have been in marriage or in the market, selling something like that. And my doors are opening, I'm getting connections, meeting different people. I'm getting different skills like public speaking, the life skills from the life skills that I'm learning.
Some of the teachers in the organization were once students of Brass for Africa. They chose to teach because they believe that no one understands the challenges faced by the students better than them. Brass for Africa is not just teaching music, it's changing lives through the power of music. Children from marginalized communities are finding hope and dreaming of a better future. This initiative proves that with the right support, nothing is impossible.
And that's it on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching and goodbye.